The gentle hum of the city at night was the only sound in the room, a familiar lullaby that usually sent me right to sleep. But that night, sleep was a distant shore I couldn't reach. I lay beside my wife, Sarah, watching the soft rise and fall of her chest, a rhythm I had known for 10 years. Our life together felt like a well-worn book, comfortable and predictable. We'd built a world, just the two of us, filled with inside jokes, shared dreams, and the quiet understanding that comes with a decade of love. Or so I thought. Just as my eyes started to feel heavy, a sound cut through the silence. It was a whisper, soft and breathy, from Sarah. I smiled, thinking she was dreaming of me. But then, the name she murmured wasn't mine. It was Leo. The name hung in the air, a foreign object in our sacred space. Leo? I racked my brain. I didn't know any Leo. A friend? A colleague? My mind spun, grasping for a rational explanation. But my heart, it felt a cold dread seeping in. It was the kind of dread that tells you a truth you're not ready to hear. The next morning, the sunlight streaming through our window felt different, almost accusatory. Sarah was humming in the kitchen, making pancakes, our Saturday morning ritual. She looked the same, her smile as bright as ever. But for me, everything had changed. The name Leo echoed in my head with every flip of a pancake, every clink of a fork. I tried to act normal, to laugh at her jokes, to talk about our plans for the day. But my smile felt like a mask, and my words were hollow. How could I ask her? "Hey, honey, who's Leo? You were saying his name in your sleep." The words felt clumsy, accusatory. What if I was wrong? What if it was just a random name from a dream, a character from a book she'd read? I didn't want to be the jealous, insecure husband. I didn't want to shatter the peace of our home over a whisper. So I said nothing. I swallowed my fear along with the pancakes, but it sat like a stone in my stomach. The days that followed were a silent torture. I became a detective in my own home, looking for clues that weren't there. I'd glance at her phone when she left it on the table, my heart pounding, only to feel a wave of shame and find nothing. I'd listen intently to her phone conversations, trying to catch a name, a hint of something hidden. She was her usual self, loving, attentive, and completely oblivious to the storm raging inside me. This disconnect, this chasm between her apparent innocence and my growing suspicion, was tearing me apart. The love I felt for her was now tangled with doubt. Every "I love you," she said, felt like it could be a lie. Every touch felt like a performance. I started pulling away, creating a small but noticeable distance between us. I'd stay late at the office, using work as an excuse. I'd get lost in TV shows, avoiding the quiet moments where my thoughts would inevitably drift back to Leo. Sarah noticed, of course. "Is everything okay, Mark?" she'd ask, her brow furrowed with genuine concern. "You seem so distant." And I would just nod and say, "Just tired from work." Another lie to add to the growing pile. This went on for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of living a double life, of being a stranger in my own marriage. The lack of sleep, the constant anxiety. It was taking its toll. I looked in the mirror one morning and saw a ghost. Haggard, with dark circles under my eyes. I knew I couldn't go on like this. The not knowing was worse than any potential truth. That night, I decided I had to confront her. I had to know, even if it meant our world would come crashing down. That evening, I sat her down on the couch. The air was thick with unspoken tension. I took a deep breath, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Sarah," I started, my voice barely a whisper. "A couple of weeks ago, you were sleeping, and you said a name. You said, Leo." Her face, which had been soft with confusion, suddenly changed. A flicker of something I couldn't quite read passed through her eyes before she looked down at her hands. And in that moment of silence, my worst fears solidified. The world tilted on its axis. She was quiet for what felt like an eternity. Then she looked up, and I saw tears welling in her eyes. "Mark," she said, her voice trembling, "I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to find out this way. I didn't know how to tell you." The confession I had dreaded was spilling out, and each word was a blow. She explained that Leo was someone from her past, a college boyfriend she'd reconnected with online. It started with innocent messages, catching up, reminiscing, but it had grown into something more, an emotional affair. She swore it had never been physical, that they had never met, but in a way that almost felt worse. It was an intimacy of the mind, a secret world she had built with someone else while living her life with me. The pancakes, the laughter, the I love yous, had they all been a facade while her heart was somewhere else? The betrayal felt immense, a gaping wound in the tapestry of our 10-year marriage. I felt a confusing mix of anger, heartbreak, and a strange, hollow relief that the truth was finally out. I couldn't speak. I just got up and walked out of the house. I needed air, I needed space. I walked for hours, the city lights a blur through my own tears. I replayed our entire relationship in my head, searching for signs I might have missed. Had I not been enough? Had I become complacent, taking her for granted? The questions were relentless. I didn't have any answers. All I knew was that the woman I loved, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world, had broken that trust in the most profound way. When I finally returned home, the house was dark, except for a single lamp in the living room. Sarah was asleep on the couch, her face tear-stained, clutching a pillow. Seeing her like that, so vulnerable, a part of me softened. This was still the woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with. Was this one mistake, this one terrible lapse in judgment, enough to erase a decade of love and partnership? I didn't know. The path forward was foggy, uncertain. But as I stood there in the quiet of our broken home, I knew one thing for sure. We had a long, difficult conversation ahead of us. The whisper in the night had shattered our world, and now we had to decide if we could, or even wanted to, pick up the pieces. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with this story. If you've ever faced a difficult moment in a relationship, you know how complicated it can be. Life isn't always simple. If you found some value in this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, take care.